Come on, Chiefs fans! A news story recently broke that has sparked a lot of discussion among fans around the web. I'm going to tell you everything that happened here. But first, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel to get the latest Chiefs updates. Trust me, you're going to want to stay up to date with everything that's going on, especially after the big changes that head coach Andy Reid just suggested. So let's get right to it. As most of you know, we were dealt a major blow with Rashee Rice suffering a knee injury in Week 4 during our win over the Chargers. We're still waiting to hear the full extent of his injury, but he's already joining Marquise Hollywood Brown on the sidelines. These injuries are piling up quickly, and it's left many of us wondering what's next for our offense. And let's be real for a second, Travis Kelce hasn't exactly been his usual elite self so far this season. Sure, he improved a bit in Week 4 with 7 catches for 89 yards, but his totals from Weeks 1 to 3 were well below par for a guy we all know is capable of so much more. Could this be the start of a major turnaround for Kelce? Coach Reid seems to think so. In his last press conference, Reid talked about how the Chiefs plan to handle things going forward. Rookie wide receiver Xavier Worthy is expected to be a big standout, and Reid seemed pretty optimistic about that. We'll see how he does, Reid said. But it's not all on him. We have a solid group of guys who have been in these situations before. So it looks like we could see more of Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Sky Moore in the passing game. But the big news? It looks like Kelce is going to become one of Mahomes' top targets again, especially with injuries to Rice and Brown. You can almost feel the change coming. More Kelce means more chances for him to turn the season around. And as always, we have to trust Mahomes to spread the ball like he does best. Now, let's talk about our running game because that's another area where injuries are hurting us. Isaiah Pacheco is expected to miss a large portion of the season with a foot injury, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also out. But here's the silver lining. We just brought back former Chief Kareem Hunt, and he's already taking on a big role in our backfield alongside Samaje Perine and Carson Steele. It's nice to know we have some depth there, but this season is testing us on all fronts. Despite all of these setbacks, we're still 4-0. That's right, we haven't lost a single game yet, and we're in prime position to make an unprecedented third Super Bowl appearance. Coach Reid even ruled out bringing in a new receiver like Las Vegas Raiders star Davante Adams, saying that while it's easier for new players to learn the playbook now compared to training camp, getting on the same page with Mahomes is a different story. Timing and chemistry are key, and Reid seems confident in the guys we have. So, Chiefs fans, what do you think? Will Kelce return to his dominant form with the increased workload? Can Worthy, Hardman, and the rest of the receiving corps step up in the face of these injuries? What about Kareem Hunt? Can he fill the void in our running game? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So, rumors are swirling, and this time they involve a name every Chiefs fan is familiar with, Tyreek Hill. Yep, you heard that right. Tyreek Hill has been at the center of some interesting trade buzz, especially with all the talk about the Dolphins' struggles since Tua Tagovailoa's injury. The Miami Dolphins have been on a rough patch, and Hill's name has come up amid discussions about potential trade moves, especially considering the injuries we've been dealing with to Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown. Here's where things get even spicier. Hill didn't exactly shut down those rumors when asked about it. While he said he's happy in Miami, he did leave the door open just a crack with some eyebrow-raising comments. We all know the NFL is a business, Hill said. Whatever happens, happens. Wait, what? Could Hill really be hinting that he's open to whatever the future holds, even if that means a possible return to Kansas City? Let's break it down. Hill's production has been down recently, but let's not forget that he's had to work with backup quarterbacks like Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley who simply can't stretch the field like Tua. So while Hill is still getting his feet wet, the Dolphins' offense isn't clicking like it did earlier in the season. Now, there's some speculation that if Miami continues to struggle and Tua doesn't return to full form, the Dolphins could look to move some pieces, including Hill. And here's where it gets interesting for us Chiefs fans. Can you imagine Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City, teaming up with Patrick Mahomes again? It doesn't take much imagination to see how Hill could completely turbocharge our offense, especially with our current injury issues. With Rice out and Kelce working his way back to full form, adding a speedster like Hill back into the mix would be a game-changer. Pairing him with Xavier Worthy could reignite the explosive Chiefs passing game that we all know and love. Now, don't get too excited just yet. Reid hasn't exactly made any moves, and a trade for Hill is still pretty unlikely. But it's not impossible. If the Dolphins continue to lose, they could decide to shake things up, and Kansas City could be the perfect landing spot for Hill. It's hard to imagine a more dramatic turnaround for a team that's already 4-0 and eyeing an historic third Super Bowl. So, what do you guys think? Could Tyreek Hill actually return to Kansas City? Would it be worth the price to get him back in red and gold, or should the Chiefs stick with the guys they have? Let's get to the news again. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are off to a 4-0 start to the season, but something feels a little off. I know what you're thinking. How can we care about a team that's undefeated and aiming for a third straight Super Bowl? But stick with me here. There's a lot to unpack. This is a team that has shown us time and time again that they can win close games. They're on a 10-game winning streak dating back to last season, including the playoffs. But here's where it gets interesting. This is the smallest margin of victory in a 10-game winning streak in NFL history. We've now won 7 straight games by 7 or fewer points, which ties us with the 2020 Chiefs and the 1996 Jacksonville Jaguars for the longest such streak. So what's going on? Let's talk about the offense. For the first time since Mahomes took over as the full-time starter in 2018, we're seeing some real struggles. In fact, this is the worst start our offense has ever had in terms of efficiency and drop-back performance. We rank 14th in total yards, 11th in passing, and 15th in rushing, definitely not the numbers we're used to seeing from a Mahomes-led offense. And turnovers? They're a real problem. We're tied for the third worst turnover differential in the league. Mahomes hasn't been his usual self either. He's posting career lows in several areas, including yards per game and passer rating. He even ranks last in the league in average depth of target, at just 5.4 yards per pass. That's a big change from what we're used to seeing. Mahomes is usually known for stretching the field and making those deep throws. Now, part of that could be due to injuries. Rashee Rice, who was Mahomes' go-to guy and a great playmaker, went down with what appears to be a season-ending knee injury. Rice had the second most targets among NFL wide receivers and led the team with 24 receptions for 288 yards. Losing him is a huge blow, especially since we also lost Hollywood Brown for the year. Travis Kelce, of course, is still doing his thing, but even he's dealing with tighter coverage and the pressure to carry the offense. Kelce has been solid, but at 34, what more can you ask of him? He's not your average tight end, but that's a lot to put on his shoulders. And let's not forget the running game. Isaiah Pacheco, who was essential to last season's success, is on injured reserve. We brought in Kareem Hunt, but the running game is averaging just 3.8 yards per carry. It's not exactly the rushing attack we were hoping for. So where does that leave us? Well, some are already talking about trades ahead of the November 5th deadline. Names like Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, and even DeAndre Hopkins are being bandied about. But do the Chiefs really need another big-name wide receiver? Or is it about finding the right chemistry and getting back to what made this team so dominant? The next few weeks are going to be tough. We have the Saints, 49ers, and Bills all coming up, and those are not easy matchups. But if there's one thing we know about this team, it's that they find a way to win when their backs are up against the wall. Just like last season, when the offense struggled but still found a way to lift the Lombardi Trophy, we can't count them out. So what do you think, Chiefs Kingdom? Are these early season struggles something to worry about, or do you think Mahomes, Reed, and Spags have another master plan up their sleeves? Leave your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you haven't already, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the action. Let's go, Chiefs!